Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So today's upload is going to be a video about the upcoming pattern. Now, April was a cool month. Right? For many folks, it was chillier. It was warmer across the southwest, but it looks as if May will be pretty much the same. It will be warmer across the southwest and southern U.S., but very chilly, very cold across parts of the northern and eastern United States. How cold, you ask? Well, pretty darn cold. It could be one for the record books on many areas. Now, the GFS has been oscillating between, a little bit of a warmer scenario and a cooler scenario, but there are some early indications that there could be some very, very chilly temperatures, and this isn't just my forecast. The Climate Prediction Center supports this, and they're the officially forecasters, I guess, if you will, but nothing really makes anyone official. But if you were to look at the temperature anomalies, they're really significant. So let's just start it off by asking guys, if you'd like to support this channel, you could consider subscribing to this channel. You could consider liking this video. It helps out this channel, helps it grow, and that's just a favor you could do for me. Obviously, first watch the video and see for yourself. Okay, so now let's continue into the GFS 2-meter temperature anomaly. So this is basically where we get to see where it is above or below average. And you can see up until this point, it's been mainly below average. Right now, you can see it's a little bit above average across the Midwest. That's to do with a little bit of a warm shot across the United States. We get our first cool wave on Monday, and you can see that it gets pretty darn chilly rather quickly. And some of these high temps will be pretty chilly. And you can see it's more disorganized. We have a little bit of warm air, a little bit of cool air across Texas and Oklahoma. And then we see warm air across the southwest, the west, and parts of the southeast. But, before this starts to completely disorganize, you can see we get a more significant blast of cool air across Canada. You can see this is into Ontario, Quebec. This is Quebec, I'm pretty sure. Or this is Ontario, sorry. This is Saskatchewan, Manitoba coming down, and it's getting pretty chilly. And then we see it gets very organized. You can see this is Friday. Next weekend looks to be very, very cold across parts of the country. You could see some locations across Ohio and Pennsylvania are possibly up to 20 to 30 degrees below average in Fahrenheit, which will bring some close temperatures to freezing. You can see 39, probably close to the freezing point. So yeah, this is not just some sort of cool off. This is literally an Arctic outbreak in May, and this, while and a regular one would be gone within a couple of days, this one maintains itself for a very long time. Monday, Tuesday, you can see it's still there, showing very classic signature signs of just cool air. And we still see that warmer across the southwestern United States, and it will be basically as severe above average in the southwest as it will be below average across the United States. Now, obviously, probably the heat in the southwest is more dangerous, so I wouldn't be able to decipher at this point whether or not which one will be more costly, especially across the Midwest. You could see if there could be some frost or freezes across some crops that have been already planted. That could really cost millions, if not billions, in damage. So this is really not a good sign. But notice that while it kind of cools off, it's still chilly. It starts warming back up slowly, maybe by the next upcoming week. This is not this upcoming Thursday, but next Thursday, next Thursday, if you will. And we see another cool shot of air, and this one's possibly even more significant, and it maintains itself for a very long time, and that's as far as we go. And you can see that, if anything, the cold air is more dominant than the hot air. So it looks as if the GFS right now is showing the most extreme scenario. We're not too sure about the second outbreak, but we're definitely sure about this first wave. This one will rather come in like a beast. And if you were to look at some of the 2-meter temperature shaded, just absolutely barbaric for May. You can see this is the nighttime lows, 30s, 40s down into the south. Plains, the Midwest, no corn, no soybeans will grow. That's just the sad truth. You can see getting up into the 50s by May 19th. Let me tell you that the average for this time of the year is all 70s across much of the United States. So the fact that we're seeing 50s and 60s across the United States May 18th all the way to all the way as far south as Oklahoma and Arkansas is just ridiculous. So you can see that several times the cold air gets very close to, say, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana. I mean, not the cold air, the freezing line. And you can see 32 degrees is going to be pretty widespread across the northern plains, the northern U.S. And you can see that It's not really widespread because it's already late May at this point, or mid to late May. But it's definitely a large cool down, and this could go down into history if what the GFS is showing right now is right. Now, if you were to look at, say, a previous model like the 12Z Saturday, you're going to notice that it shows more of a warmer scenario for the latter part of the forecast, but it still shows that initial first push of cold air. So let's go to 2-meter temperature anomalies. Let's load it using a model run that happened a couple hours ago, or several hours ago at this time of recording. And you can see that this first wave comes through, hangs around for a while just like it showed, and then we see that second wave, right? But it's not nearly as significant, and we start seeing more warmer air trying to involve itself in, and this is having troubles loading. But you can see that it's a little bit different. It's not as cold, and locations where it does get pretty cold, where it is below average, it's not insanely below average. If we were to look at the 2-meter temperature shaded, if this could load, we would see that this would be close to average, just a bit slightly below average. Nothing unusual, typical May weather. But compare it to the 384 outlook of the newest model run, and you can see that it's just a whole different change. This is, by the way, for the night that you saw right there. That was for the nighttime lows. For nighttime lows, this is what the GFS shows, and this is what it shows for daytime highs. Very, very cold air. Nothing to joke around with. This would be stunting crops, and that just wouldn't be good. Not good news at all. People will be, oh, it's cooler air is nice. It could be devastating for crops. So very concerning at the least. If we were to look at the European model, we see it's kind of all over the place, European. It's been showing cooler air for sure, and you can see it shows a very cold air right there. But it's been a little bit more over the place than the GFS. It tries introducing a little bit of warm air towards the May 12th time frame, but it only goes out to 240 hours, and we don't know what's happening afterwards. So with the GFS scenario, it would continue to be cold, while the European, we don't know. But the European is definitely showing cold temperatures as well. So let's look at the ensembles of the GEFS. You can see, I could tell right off the bat, this is below average. And if we were to show you the 5-day averages, that is significantly below average. And as you can see by the GFS, it has more dominant of the United States, the colder, rather than the warm air. Warm air is just a little sliver across the west. And it intensifies as we go further and further into the forecast, and peaks at around probably May 15th. But hopefully it doesn't stay here for that long, but we'll have to just wait and see, because this wasn't predicted even a couple of weeks ago, when they thought May would be record warm according to the Weather Channel. But that just goes to show you how official they are. Not much better than any of the YouTuber forecasters. To be honest with you, Weather Channel is it's known for its weather. It's a Weather Channel. People look up to it. Really, it's done a crummy job with its spring outlook. But you could see that the European model ensembles just show absolutely cold temperatures. If this were to be, say, December or January, this would be record-breaking temperatures across the United States. But thankfully, right now, it's May, but it's still that time frame where frost could occur fairly easily. So it's definitely not good news. Let's look at the 8 to 14-day outlook, and you'll see some stark resemblance of the GFS. You can see very below average temperatures across the eastern 2/3, half, I would say. Precipitation outlook below average, which is okay, I guess. At least it's not getting waterlogged while being cold. And then if you were to look at the 6 to 10-day outlook, same story, even more confidence, because you can see those darker colors because it's 6 to 10 days out, less distance out. And above average, way below average. This is not good news, but again, that's the weather. If we were to look at a 3 to 4 week outlook, it actually shows much of the same across the United States, so this may last for a while. So some weather stations, my weather station, described it as the warm temperatures being nipped by this cool weather. A possibility. I would say they would be actually absolutely smothered by this cold weather possibility. It would feel no more than April, mid-April, early to mid-April, or a warm mid to early April, possibly this late May time frame. This mid to late May time frame where it could be very cold. So if you were to look at the Weather Channel's official outlook, it shows May as being extremely below average, and I think that is fairly just, as that's what's going to happen. We'll see the rest of summer, however. Now, usually, a cold summer, there's been actually some historical data that shows that a cold spring, cold summer does kind of correlate to a cold winter. However, we'll have to just wait and see on that. If with the La Nina potentially forming and across the Enzo regions, we could be looking at a warm summer. That's technically what they would, that what would be occurring, a warm summer. But, again, it's a crapshoot because the Weather Channel, if you were to look at them, in March, February, they were calling for a warm spring. Their February outlook was a warm spring, and in March they were forecasted to be the only cool month, and it was the only warm month. It seems April was supposed to be warm. It was cold. Now May they're saying it's gonna be cold, and I think that's fairly accurate. So maybe they'll get 1 month right. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you learned something new. And this is just extremely uncalled for. Uh, just very, very cold weather. Usually something you wouldn't see in May. We haven't seen such May weather in a while. We've seen very wet Mays across the Midwest, but not really dry or cold. It usually doesn't pair itself together. It's usually dry and wet and cold, not wet and wet. But now it's gonna be cold and dry. So you can see the rainfall amounts are there. They're not super significant. It's not gonna cause any major flooding concerns really. A few storms here and there, but otherwise, it's really the cold that's gonna be the main factor. So thank you guys so much for watching. Consider liking the video. Consider subscribing to the channel. Catch you all guys in the next episode. See ya. Bye.